I know that my mic's fucked, but I kept psyching myself out, and I wasn't sure if I was going to get back to the streaming if I didn't just randomly do it, so here I am. I have a new computer. I'm playing Armored Core 1. Right now my microphone is apparently the webcam. I did try to have it set up as this microphone, but it isn't working, so yeah. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Shit. Let's start it again. Another thing that's also a problem is that my shitty bootleg controller isn't working very well. If I have to change screens for a long period of time, it just breaks, which is pretty cool. So yeah. I played Armored Core originally in like April, maybe March. Ah, it's working. It was pretty good, but ah, oh well. We restarting the game then, I guess. Oh wait, no, we don't need to do that. We don't need to do that. I'll just load state. Yeah. Maybe that doesn't work. Shit. We're doing that again then. Hope that isn't too loud for you guys. Oh dear. Recently I've been playing a lot of From Software games. I played Armored Core 6 and I adored it and completed New Game Plus 3, which is why I'm now here. And then I also just completed Dark Souls 1. I mostly used the Zweihander. Did a bit of parrying as well with the shield though, so I'm not a complete noob. And then I was going to play Dark Souls 2, but it's really loud. But oh well, we'll find out. This is just going to be a test stream. I'm going to watch the VOD back later on. And hopefully, if not, we shall cry. Chuck and Frank. Pilot Frank, that's me. There's the odds over there. I have it set to a PlayStation controller because that's what I'm used to. And then, ooh, that could be actually a cool play though. We'll do like the fancy ones. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Interesting. Oh well, we're going to use U as our A. And then for R, we're going to use U, I guess, because there isn't an R. And is there a more interesting K? Doesn't look like it. That's cool. The controls are really shitty in this because I'll get to what it says in a second, but I want you to know before we get into this that I'm gonna suck because the controls are like tank controls from just fucking PS1 era. So the triggers are like up and down, and then they have I've managed to have it so that the joysticks can actually do stuff because they used to just not work and you'd have to move and look around using the forwards and right and left respectively. and then from what I can work out, square is fire. O, I think was, I didn't figure out what it was, but fuck it, let's go into it. You'll see that I'm a massive pro. You could say that I'm the greatest pilot of my generation, perhaps.
System engaged.
The test is over. From this moment on, you are a Raven.
I've got to switch using triangle between plating. Okay. Wow, that's something. I really like it. Oh, that's actually really. I like I'll try my best, but if I'm having trouble, I'll move over. I'll backwards. Fuck me. So we're killing a bunch of squatters for our first mission.
System engaged. Target achieved.
Oh, we're not getting any money from this. We've made nothing. Jesus Christ. Awesome strikers.
System engaged. Target achieved.
That was it? Okay. Good shit, bro. I do like this game, bro. I think that it's kind of dumb, but yeah, I know this one's gonna kick my ass. I'm gonna do that.
System engaged.
This is the guard. We've cornered the enemy as expected. We'll leave the rest up to you.
Target achieved.
Alright. Maybe I'm the greatest pilot of all time. I don't know if you guys can see my mouse right now, but it was shown on the screen, so we'll get that out of the way. Alright. Ammunition expenses 576, AC repair 4,600. Perfect. Let's go. Keep on moving. Not even leave. Why can't we do if I can win that game? Killing these guys.
System engaged. Target achieved.
Okay, so that was kind of hard. I will be the first to admit it. But apparently it didn't take that much damage. I don't really believe that. Alright, keep it pushing. I guess we're gonna be holding the left trigger to look up right now. And you gotta go.
System engaged.
Pardon me, let's just pull this. Let me spill some water on my pants. Good water.
Hard fought. We will now engage in support fire. Stay safe for a while.
Target achieved.
I don't have no money from that. I'll say it now. We might be able to afford the thing though. That was horror. That was actually horror. Try boost towards the target and then blade. Shoot the next one. Boost for the next one, blade. Shoot the next one.
We've arrived at the combat area. We'll leave as soon as your AC is deployed.
System engaged. AC unit destroyed. Combat halted.
Okay. And we're in debt. That's not ideal. Worth it, but I don't want to do it. Very careful on this mission.
System engaged.
My goal is to finish a bottle of water like this one every stream, at least. It's not much, but hopefully it will stop me from losing my voice.
Do you read me, Raven? Hitting a generator could cause an explosion, so please be careful.
Target achieved.
That's a nice mission. And it should only be... Oh, perfect. Perfect. There we go. We are now out of date completely. That's nice. Money is money. Hit the... I don't know what it is, but you know what I'm trying to do, I think.
System engaged.
How dare you come here? Don't get carried away just because you're a raven.
AC unit destroyed. Combat halted.
Oh, fuck. 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 I can't be getting killed by squatters, that's crazy work. I have some pride.
System engaged.
How dare you come here? Don't get carried away just because you're a raven.
one away at a time. Please come in. I don't like how there's no music. Is that intended? This is cool.
Target achieved.
Oh, we're not getting any fucking money out of that. I've got to be the worst Raven here. Even fucking. That's a fucking crazy symbol. That was a fire that recorded baby. The light of the pipe is involved in the terrorist and okay. those guys as meat shields and sit at the back and shoot them with missiles. That could be a good play.
System engaged.
Let me pause first. I need to put on something else warm. Wellington winters are very cold. And I'm very skinny. And very cold also. And I don't want to get sick. I'm really enjoying this. I'm gonna try doing a few different games. I'm not gonna be playing Isaac, I'll tell you that fucking much in my streams right now. When I went over to my new PC, because I used to be on a laptop, like a school laptop essentially, and that was fine. I love it. I still have it, and I play games on it in bed that don't require much to run. But it was time to move on. And so yeah, anyway, besides that tangent, when I moved over to my Isaac files were already kind of fucked for some reason on the save cloud, and they no matter what I did, they wouldn't become unfucked. So I was hoping that they would change somehow, but obviously they didn't. I don't know what I was thinking there. And so when I got my new computer and I went on Steam, I accidentally resynced with my new save data of my old save data. So now I have nothing unlocked in Isaac, making the past however many streams completely worthless. And all my progress towards Isaac is gone. So I don't really feel like playing that game right now. Besides the fact that I've been really burnt out with it. Like, I don't know. I don't even watch Sin Victor videos that much these days, and I used to glaze him. Now, yeah, right now I've been playing Cyberpunk, bit of Battlefield 5 if I'm feeling toxic. I'm gonna play the Armored Core franchise, hopefully. We'll see how I go with this one. Maybe I'll just like play the standard game of every generation of them. I know I want to play the Armored Core, Last Raven, and For Answer, and 4 and those ones. And then we'll see what I do after that. I do want to play the Miyazaki ones that were the ones with like the next instead of the things. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. I also want to do a bit of Dark Souls 2, then maybe Dark Souls 3, God willing. And we'll figure something out to play. Else out to play. Maybe I'll do Cyberpunk. I don't know. I kind of don't want to play that though, because I like listening to the radio, and that would completely censor me. And also the gore and the nudity, and just, I don't know, I get really easily sidetracked in that game. I don't think it would make good content. Maybe I'm just kidding about
Cannot unlock gate. AC unit destroyed. Combat halted.
Good shit, bro. And we're in debt again. Maybe I just fuck everything up and go fully into debt. This could put us back on track. I'm gonna get the highly durable legs, the caterpillar.
System engaged.
You, in the AC, surrender immediately. If you resist, we will attack without mercy.
Enemy approaching. Danger. 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 Name of AC. Valkyrie. AC unit destroyed. Combat halted.
Okay, she fucked me up. Wow, she actually really fucked me up. 13,000 and bit. So you probably only need to do more like that. Do like 5 more minutes.
System engaged. AC unit destroyed. Combat halted.
That's gonna be like fucking minus 30k. Oh, great. Just under. Did I get a chat saying? Yeah, I did. Best viewers on boostchamps.russia. Wowie. Wow. It's right in the mail. If it's one enemy, I think I'll be fine. Surely. If it starts going bad...
The test MT you'll fight is completely automated. There's no need to be timid. Give it all you've got.
System engaged.
We got some excellent data. We'll put it to good use in the future. Thank you for your help.
Target achieved.
How much did we get for that? We're still in debt. Not surprising, I guess. mapped in this version.
System engaged. Malfunction. Malfunction. Radar abnormality. Enemy approaching. Danger. 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 Enemy approaching. Danger. 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 AC unit destroyed. Combat halted.
That's fucked up. This up, what happens then? Do I finally unlock arena mode?
System engaged. Malfunction. Malfunction. Radar abnormality. Enemy approaching. Danger. 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 Enemy approaching. Danger. 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 AC functions restored. Targets destroyed.
Raven, that is enough. Go back now.
Target achieved.
I'd be stressed. I had 9,000 in debt. Cool. Simmons on the case. Ugh, cold.
We have reached the target. The main core will arrive in 6 minutes. Find the entrance before then.
System engaged. Bot destroyed. Transmitting coordinates.
We have your position. Break in from there.
Target achieved.
That was pretty cool. 31,000, 21,000 credits. Pardon me, itch my armpit. I'm a boy. what we want. Alright. I'm still looking beautiful, that's good to see. Okay. Birthdays, blah, 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 Drop, mission. Again.
We've arrived at the combat area. Many mines have been planted in this area. Be very careful in your movements.
System engaged. Out of area. Combat halted.
We've arrived at the combat area. Many mines have been planted in this area. Be very careful in your movements.
System engaged. Target achieved.
That's cool. That's cool as fuck. Raven's Nest. Let me turn the music back on.
System engaged. Target achieved.
That's fucking foreboding. Cool. Awesome. James, the way I'd be exterminating the opposition.
System engaged.
Oh,
Combat halted.
Fuck that. Good shit, bro. We're negative again. Close to it, at least. substantial meal has been acquired. I have gotten myself a thing of... Shit's still working. What the oh well. I have gotten myself a substantial meal, ignore that, of some cheese and some Raro. So I'm gonna put on a web browser scene and we're gonna watch some YouTube while I while I eat that. Browser. There you browser. Make source visible. Cancel. We're going to delete that. I know how I can do this better. Yes, I do wish to remove browser. Window capture. Okay. Select a window. Firefox. Alright. And then I'm going to go like that. And I'm going to go like that. And then I'm going to transform. No, I'm going to do order. That's why. Move to top. Order. Move to top. And this time it's going to work. And then I'm going to get you. And I'm going to put you back in there. And click OK. And we're going to go look at some shit. Let's go YouTube. As you can see, I kind of have a bit of a boshy let's turn that slightly down. I have a bit of a boshy YouTube algorithm. It's given me very old videos from NerdCube. This is an excellent cover by Daniel Caesar. That's like the only Daniel Caesar song I like. Connor Dog, shout out to bro. But we gotta find something to watch. And what better to do it with this.
Raven. A moniker all too familiar with the veteran Armored Corps pilots and soon to be renowned amongst those taking their first steps into the unforgiving battlefield hosted by Rubicon. Though clipped of its wings and left in the crater of its failure, it may very well be that a phoenix plume was amongst the feathers that lined its down as this Raven rose back up alongside the embers that still stirred within Rubicon, only to be cut down by a scavenger bearing its former wings. However, this iteration of our bird of prey wasn't about to leave its legacy in such a pitiful state. It was time to show Rubicon what the legendary independent mercenary who operated from the shadows could do. It was time to show them just how far this Raven could fly. Yeah, despite saying not to expect every intro to start off this dramatic, it just kind of feels like you'd be missing something now, so here we are again. But anyways, hey everyone, how's it going? Today we will be attempting to beat Armored Core 6 with Raven's Nightfall AC, and this time we'll be taking the all-mine route. Now, to be honest, after playing through this game so many times, it's kinda hard for me to believe that the original Raven would be taken out so easily. I've seen theories that maybe they were faking their death due to the betrayals we discovered from our engagements with the Cataphract and Balaam, but that's all speculation, and we were here to change history and set things straight by rewriting it as the victor. Now, moving on to our build, and despite the notoriety, the Raven's Nightfall AC is kind of lackluster. It's not bad, but it's not anything to write home about, as it's essentially just the original loader setup with some minor differences. We swapped the turner for the scudder, the Boo-TT or Pulse Blade for the pile bunker, the standard 4-count missile launcher for Songbirds, in addition to adding the 6-count dual-cell missiles to our left shoulder, which I honestly wish were still the original missiles because these things aim for the ground more often than they do your target, but anyways. The core, arms, leg, and boosters are kept the same, while the FCS and generator get upgraded to the Abbot and Ling Tai respectively. One really cool thing I wanted to point out though is that this is basically the guts build of ACs, with what may or may not be homage to the Berserker armor, as the head only has one half of the energy being displayed, and it's on the left side to boot. Now, with our setup out of the way, it was time to make our descent to Rubicon and right what wrongs our previous iteration made during their journey. Before we get into the illegal entry mission, I did want to mention that I was a bit torn on whether or not I should reset my OS tuning, so I did end up doing this twice after I went back and reset it, and added Assault Boost not long after, but I'll leave it there as this will come back up in the not so distant future. Anyways, onto the PCA helicopter. Those missiles come back so quick. Yeah. Oh shit, oh shit. Should I have kept the core expansion or... Nah. We'll learn it. We'll learn everything. I have a feeling that's going to be a running theme of this. Disrespect. I'm not going to do that the entire time. So yeah, even without the damage upgrades, the fight with the PCA helicopter went how one would expect with the pile bunker and songbird, so we'll just move on to the next two missions, which, as usual, aren't very eventful, though a messed up pronunciation led to this. I don't need to like learn to assault boost a pile bunker. Pile driver. It's the tombstone pile bunker! Next up was the helicopters, where we rush through and take out the tetrapod once more before we make our way to bully the tester pilot once again. I could have jumped him way better, but oh well. After that was the attack on the dam with the red guns, and at this point, we had decided to do the all-mine route, so I was trying to point out that I didn't necessarily have to take them out to get that ending, but despite my efforts to convince chat otherwise at first, we did end up taking them on, and with no S-tuning, and, well... I'm about to go away. Oh, shit! I don't know why, for like half a second I thought it already got blown. What the fuck? That was kind of epic, Bolts. I'm not even gonna lie. I gotta give him props for that. That's kind of that was kind of sick. Yeah, 15 deaths later, we did change over to defending the Strider to see if we had any better luck with that, and here's how the first attempt went. Right here. Oh, man. That was better than I was anticipating. Okay. Oh, you know that, Walter.
There's no water remaining.
Oh no, you shouldn't have. Okay, yeah, that makes a new spin on this idiom, but it seems we are both literally and metaphorically caught between a grind wheel and a grind wheel, and it was either that or get caught between an angry iguana and a heavily armored tank, which you'd think would sound more appealing, but I decided to try and stick this out, which I never was a super big fan of the headphones like over the head, and then after, fuck. Damn it. Why did I try to do that? That was dumb. Yeah, as you may have imagined, this was also a very challenging stage to pull off with no OS tuning, but eventually we did have this run where we barely cling to life. And then after this, we have Volta. Yay. I was about to say. It's funny because this is actually like, I'm better now with the joysticks and pedals. I went back to the controller to like get some footage because I didn't feel like setting everything up. And I was like, wow, I'm garbage with this. It just feels wrong. This isn't, I don't know. There's certain buttons that are just a little bit easier to access. It's crazy how much of a difference there is in the feel of the joysticks. Oh yes.
Okay, we're gonna have to play really tight on this and be just very safe.
Where are you? I will cheese this fight with missiles if I have to. How... Did you see how often it shot the 3 volleys of those missiles? It shot 3 volleys of those missiles within such a short time frame. That was insane. Oh my god.
Ammunition at 30%.
No, don't. Oh my god. No. Holy shit. I was caught in that rock. Oh, it's so close. Just about to do the kick. Which gives me an opening right here. Yes! Yes!
I would have been able to do that.
Yes! You see how much of a different kind of pop-off that was compared to the other ones? That was like a desperate, like, thank the fuck I'm over with this. Not a, like, yeah! Victory! Righteous! Triumphant! Now we just have to do that to Volta. God damn it. I am. Where did you pick up? God damn it. Volta jump scare. I think I can get it. Get it. No. That's for the pre-jump. Take a pre-songbird. Overload, holy shit. That is too much. You're still alive? Holy shit. Let's not. Thank you for finally dying. Thank you. Please, if you can help out with the subscribe, it'll only cost you 1 tap or click, and every one goes directly to my ego, which has been severely damaged by this run. Volta, I really hope that I don't have to fight you on the next run. You just want to see me struggle. I know. Yeah, anyway. Now it was going to be smooth sailing for a while, which was great, because I needed a breather from beating my head into a wall. Thankfully, all I had to do for this next mission was a climb one, so we zoomed through everything and faced a Juggernaut, which took a bit longer because I had actually reset my OS tuning again since I shouldn't have had it for this fight. But yeah, we cleared it without much effort though. It just took a little bit longer than it normally would. After that, it was time to escort the Liberation Front through their rescue attempt, which did get a bit close during the fight with Niles, so I went back to fight in the arena and earn my chips back, when I think this is kind of where chat realized I had no OS tuning again, because right afterwards they just convinced me to add it back anyway, since we're taking the all-mine route and should be fully loaded up at this point. But hey, I wasn't going to argue with making the run easier, so we put everything back for the second and last time before moving on to our mission with Kate Mine, where we become the menace whose aftermath you'd be investigating in the New Game and New Game Plus version of this mission.
That was pretty tasty. We're going to go back to the game now. Back to the game. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Is that just frozen me now? That's why. Cool. I'm gonna finish that video afterwards. Yippee. Please. No, I forgot about this while I was eating shit. I hate how you do this game. And now I'm connected again. I'm connected again. Why? Why do you do this? It's the whole game's frozen, it looks like. Settings, load state. That was yesterday. It's now 3 o'clock. Fuck. Save state. Load state. Oh man. No. No. That's not fair. Oh. Just fucking shut down the game. Fuck's sake. I think so I can move the Oh damn it, man. That's really fucking irritating. Game properties. If I have to start, I'm fucking... On that note, we'll hit you with a... Here's my bit though. Yeah. On that note, I think that's me for tonight. I don't feel like doing that again because I'm probably gonna have to relive the game. So that was a fun back to Twitch stream. Just figure everything out again. Know what's what now. Yeah. I shall see you in the next one. Bye bye.